Good morning everybody, welcome back to the Herefordshire Gardener channel. My name's Aaron. In this video today I'm going to be doing a review on the rose Munstead Wood, which is just down here on the left of the screen. This is a rose that was bred by David Austin and released in 2007. It's a fantastic rose and I can't wait to show you the blooms. Remember, if you find the video interesting, give it a like to help it go out to other people on YouTube, and also remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already so you don't miss any more future exciting video uploads. Thanks again for watching, I hope you enjoy. So I am currently in what will soon become the kitchen garden, where I have a lot of roses in pots ready to go out in the landscape later this year. I'm going to take you to the two Munstead Woods that I currently have. These were purchased from a supplier online, a lady called Tanya. It's Tanya's Gardens. I don't think she's trading anymore. And I managed to purchase two at the end of 2023. So I'm going to bring you to the first Munstead Wood, which is just here. I've got this umbrella behind me just for a little bit of shade today, but look how gorgeous is that. Absolutely stunning. This year this rose has put on some serious growth for me. When I first got them they were bare roots, and to be honest they looked really sickly, really thin canes. I think I only got about two or three blooms on this rose last year, but I think it just took a bit of time, like most of the roses, especially the David Austin ones, to put down some roots and establish, and this year it has just completely gone bananas. Look at all that lovely healthy growth. And also, I don't know if you've spotted it yet, but we have a new basil cane just coming up there, so that's a new leader that's going to send up another thick strong branch. So as I said, this rose was released in 2007. Sadly it no longer available. David Austin have retired this variety, which is a shame in my opinion, because everybody talks about Munstead Wood with good reason. It's a stunning rose. I mean, you look at that bloom, just look at the size of it. This is the maiden bloom, so the first one that came out. Just look at those velvety crimson, burgundy, purple, oh, gorgeous petals, wonderful cup shape, and she does flatten a little bit with age, so she's a lot deeper cup to start off with. But just look at how the sunlight is captured in those petals. You've got a mixture of dark velvety tones and sort of lighter tones, and it just gives this real romantic, enchanted look to the rose. Absolutely beautiful. And the scent, I'm just going to have another smell. Oh my god, it is next level. It is beautiful. A gorgeous, rich, old rose fragrance with, I would say, a slight citrus note. There's also, I would say, sort of blackberry in the background. It's very similar to Gertrude Jekyll in the scent, but it's much deeper. It's a much deeper old rose fragrance. It reminds me a bit of the Rugosa roses. It has almost a clove note there as well. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, very, very strong scent. So coupled with the blooms and also the gorgeous foliage. Look at that foliage, slight sheen, lovely mid-green colour, mid to dark green I would say. And just look at all of that healthy foliage all the way up. Look at all the buds. I think I counted this year in the first flush there's about 30 buds to open, and just look at the size of these buds. They're really, really big. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And the new leaves, when they come out, very similar to the flowers, they've got this burgundy hue around them. They come out quite dark to start off with. If I just give you a look at this one, for example, you see how dark that is? Lovely dark underside as well. Really, really pretty. This rose has stolen my heart, guys. It really has. had such high hopes, having read a load of reviews on this rose. But as I said, when I purchased it at the end of 2023 and sort of waited in anticipation for 2024, I was quite disappointed. So if you're in the same boat as me, just have a bit of patience. It's a bit of a slow burner, but within 2 years you can have a rose that's looking like this, and it's going from strength to strength. One thing I will say about Munstead Wood is the stems. They are quite thorny. I don't know if we can see. I'm gonna have to just try not to poke my hand with this because it is very thorny. Look at all those thorns. And this is sort of an aged cane, so you can see how the thorns have gone sort of a brown paper colour. The newer thorns are quite pretty actually. They're a reddish colour, a bit similar to Princess Anne, although not as red. So you can see there, but there's lots of them, big ones and little ones. But I think they still look really pretty. Totally worth it in my opinion. She forms a bit of a bushy shrub rose. As you can see, I've got mine in a pot at the moment. She will be going in the ground in this room. I haven't fully decided where. That'll be for later in the autumn season. If you're wondering, these pots, they're just temporary. I've got some bamboo canes underneath just so that the pots drain on that patio. And I've also got some willow wigwams that I've built and just tied together with string. Just so I've got something to tie this rose in and just support it. That's a really good idea, by the way, particularly with young roses when they've got quite thin stems. If you can fix the leading canes into a structure, they actually harden in that position throughout the year, such that when you remove the supports, you've got a lovely framework which your new buds will start to grow out of. So I call it hardening off, really. It's a process that I tend to do with all of my roses, and some of them do need permanent structure in place to keep them supported. But as I said, Munstead Wood will form a lovely sort of thick shrub. And with all these blooms, I mean, what's not to like? I'm just gonna give you another demonstration of her maiden bloom, get my head out of the way. Look at that. Is that not just the prettiest thing you've ever seen? I love those tones, the textures. And I think in the middle, if you look very carefully, there are some stamens down in there. Although she keeps them tightly packed. I think you do see them towards the end of the bloom as it's fully opened and paled out a little bit. I think in the next couple of days we'll have the second 2 blooms, or maybe even 3 up the top there that will have opened. I just think they're stunning. Beautiful. I love the sort of burnt burgundy that you see. Even in the unopened petals, she's already demonstrating some of those velvety tones. And the buds, very much like most of the David Austin buds, start off sort of lime green with a little famous twist at the end. But then as they start to come out, you get the hint of burgundy red coming through. And then eventually you start moving into more of an opening of those petals onto this. And then finally, this bloom now has probably been open for 3 days. So still going really strong. I don't think that bloom will fade, probably for at least another 3 days or more. And as you can see, we've got lots of new growth coming out here. These are all gonna give us flowers this year. There's just loads. I'm gonna just show you what's in the base of this pot. If you've been watching on my channel, you know that recently we've just started out with a herd of alpacas at the other side of the garden. And one of the things I'm interested to try this year is alpaca poo, known as alpaca beans. Looks similar to rabbit poo, as fertilizer for my roses. So I've only started putting this on in the last 3 weeks, and this is great stuff because Alpaca poo, unlike sheep's, cows, etc., it can go straight onto your pots or beds because it's got quite a low nitrogen content compared to other fertilizers like the ones that I mentioned, whereas it's got a similar phosphorus and potassium, so the plant gets all the benefits without any burn to the roots. And it's great. It doesn't need maturing, it doesn't need composting. This is the rose next door. I believe this is Donahue, one of their new ones. I'm not doing a review of this today. I've got lots of buds on that rose and I'll be reviewing that one in due course. I'm gonna sneeze. Bless me. So yeah, I've just added a good heapful of alpaca manure on there to act as a mulch and trap the water into the pot. And also just to feed the rose every time I top water. So we'll see how that pans out over the coming year, but I'm quite hopeful. A lot of people refer to alpaca poo as garden gold. So that's Munstead Wood. Beautiful, beautiful rose. I would highly recommend this rose if you can get hold of it. I've got high hopes for future years having seen this now. If you're wondering what the foil is for, again, we're in a full sun position here in the kitchen garden, and these pots, believe it or not, they can heat up. I mean, the darker the pot, the more it's going to absorb the sun's heat. And sometimes I've been out in the past and I've felt the pots and they're really quite hot, so I can't imagine that's useful to the root zone. It might stress the rose out, make it more prone to things like powdery mildew, black spot, green fly attack. So I just simply wrap some cheap tin foil around all of my pots. I mean, you can see wherever the sun's hitting is where that pot would be absorbing heat. And I actually do, since I've done it, I think it does make a difference because the pots are not hot for a start. I'm not watering as often, so they're not drying out as much. So I think there's definitely something in that, and it's working for the roses. They're looking really, really healthy, as I mentioned. I was lucky enough to purchase 2 of these. Some of the roses that I purchased from Tanya's Garden on Facebook did turn out to be a pile of rubbish. I'm sure if you've purchased roses from there or other places online, you're never guaranteed to get exactly what you've been advertised you've bought. It's a risk that you take. So I ordered 2 of these anyway, because I mean, one's not enough. Clearly I could have hundreds of these. I am going to do some cuttings of them in future years when I get a bit more growth on these canes, but I do have a second one in this temporary fruit cage. If you remember from my previous videos, this fruit cage is going later this year. I'm just housing some of my roses in here. I did have all of my rose cuttings in here earlier in the year, but I found that they were just too close together and the airflow in there was quite poor. So I've restaged those all down this side of the garden, and I'm going to come on to do some rose reviews on those in the coming weeks. So just taking you from Munstead number 1. Just look at that. Let me just step back and just show you the beauty of that shrub. How gorgeous. She's just loving life. If I bring you over into the fruit cage, I'll be doing reviews on all of these roses as they come into bloom. I don't think this second one, if I remember rightfully, it's the one directly in front of us. This out of the pair of them was the one that didn't do as well, in my opinion. So considering that it's doing fabulous this year, so if I just pan back and show you that, there we go, we've got those lovely burgundy tipped buds. Gorgeous. Quite a few on this one as well. I'd say we're pushing 20 blooms for the first year. If I do see any leaves that have got any blemishes on, anything resembling black spot, rust, powdery mildew, I either remove the whole leaf at the stem or I just remove segments of the leaf, and I find that that just keeps my roses in tip-top condition because it's stopping any of the disease from spreading to other leaves. So this is the second Munstead Wood, and this is the only 2 that I've got on the property. but I think you'll agree with me, she's really, really healthy. And this one, the other one had 1 basal cane, but this one has 3. Look down in there. See if we can get to focus. Look, 1, 2, 3 new canes coming out. That's fantastic. Absolutely amazing. That's going to give us more foliage up this side. So there we have it. These are my Munstead Woods. Gorgeous, gorgeous rose. The fragrance alone is next level. It really is, as people describe, strong, fruity, old rose, deep notes of raspberry in there. There's a little bit of clove, as I mentioned earlier. And when the sun hits the blooms, my God, you can smell it before you even come near the actual shrub. It's gorgeous. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said at the start, remember to give it a like. It just helps the video go out to others looking to find out a bit more about David Austin roses or similar things. And also, if you haven't subscribed, I'm going to be doing reviews on all of the roses in this garden, the majority of which are David Austin roses. So yeah, hit the subscribe button and then you won't miss any future updates. Thanks again for watching. Take care.